The thing that I was mostly interested in the report was the two lobes in the brain. There are two lobes there.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie showed part of that. They didn't know what they had, though.
Right.
There was two lobes in the brain, and interconnected. And also the lid. That's where I got the information on the extra eyelid. And we figured that extra eyelid was nothing more than something like our night viewing device.
Because I even told you, I think, that I was not interested in seeing UFOs. I was all interested in what was in those UFOs.
Anyone familiar with UFO lore will recognize at least some of what Phil Corso says. Reports of crashed saucers, recovered alien bodies, a government cover-up. But in 50 years of UFO controversy, no one of his rank or stature has ever publicly proclaimed this level of inside knowledge. Corso was an intelligence officer inside the Eisenhower White House, assigned to the National Security Council. He also served as Inspector General of the 7th Army and commanded the 1st Nuclear Battalion in Germany. His credentials are impeccable, his record spotless. But did he really handle wreckage from a flying saucer?
They came from a flying saucer.
How do you know that?
Because they were marked in the files as coming from New Mexico.
Roswell.
Yeah, Roswell.
Roswell, of course, is the most famous alleged UFO crash site in history, a story which the Air Force has tried to bury once and for all. Corso says that Army Research and Development not only had pieces of wreckage in its possession, but also reports and photos from an autopsy of an alien cadaver.
I had the reports. See, the Walter Reed, the laboratory Walter Reed, was our laboratory. We financed it. He was part of the guidance system, or it, whatever it is, because it has no sex organ or thing. It was part of the guide system. That's why we failed in propulsion.
Corso says the Army kept the material and bodies secret because of potential enemies within the U.S. government, interests which might take over the program and destroy the reputations of those involved. He thinks the secrets are still being kept, but doesn't know by whom. Twice in the past few years, Corso has testified before Congress concerning secret activities within the Eisenhower White House. He's been thoroughly checked out and his information confirmed. But his most sensational allegation is one which American industry isn't going to like at all. Corso says the Army spoon-fed recovered alien technology to American industry, resulting in some of our greatest technological advances.
The number one was the integrated circuit. Number two in importance was laser, because I had some laser instruments also. Then fiber optic.
The following clips are from a never-before-seen interview with Philip J. Corso, taken in 1996 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Present in this interview with me were Robert Bigelow, Al Puthoff, Colonel John B. Alexander, and Jacques Vallée.
Well, I picked up the trajectory sometime in the morning. What happened was this. My boys called me and they said, we picked up something traveling pretty fast. We don't know the speed. We don't know how, but we got a trajectory. And it came, the boys told me, and the tape showed this, that the thing came this direction. It came this direction and fell. The trajectory looked like this. So I called White Sands. I told them, not White Lion, I told them, say, I lost an art cat. Did you pick up any trajectory? They said, yes. So they gave me a trajectory and it matched this one. Later on, I found out a Holloman that picked up something, same day. So when I picked up the trajectory, I called my pilot because I had a little airfield up there. I had 5 airplanes. And there was a 2-seater on those grasshoppers. It was my private. So I called the pilot, and we used to take caliche and the boys would go pick up all the, I used to go in it and wet it and roll it, make it like concrete, and that was our airfield. So I went out with the pilot, and we looked down, we saw something shiny, and the pilot asked me, what is it? I told him I'll make one of the boosters. But I knew it wasn't a booster, because I'd seen boosters there. I used to fly around a lot out there. And White Sands knew I flew around out there. Then I figured, I start bothering me. I got to go out on the ground. So my command car was no good, and I want to take a Jeep. So I called Fort Bliss to send me up a command car. Remember those big command cars? And it was perfect for the desert. Because when I got the command car, they sent it right up. It took about 3 or 4 hours to get there. So I told my boys, I'm leaving. I'll be back in a couple hours. So I took off in the command car. I was driving myself. and I took my gun, a water bottle, electronic equipment, and a compass. And I took off. And this is the route that I took. Now, I don't know if exactly this far, but I passed Trinity Site. It was south of me. And I cut right across country into this. Because a big command car could do that. I couldn't do it sometimes in the Jeep. But there's big wheels on that thing. And I cut straight across. And I had the coordinates. I had a pretty good map. And when I looked to check the coordinates, I got near there. I got my binoculars out and there was nothing there. I couldn't see anything. I figured, what the hell? And I kept checking the coordinates. I figured, it's the right place. Then this damn thing appeared. And right away, someone going, I'm in the desert by myself. Am I seeing things? Is this hallucination? Because I'm out here all by myself. 110 degrees was, I still remember that day because I had a smaller. Oh, the damn thing appeared. Then I timed it. I had my wristwatch on. I think it was, I have it in here. It was just a few minutes and disappeared again. Right away, I started figuring, boy, I am going to put the nutty. This must be an hallucination because these things don't happen. The damn thing appeared, it disappeared and appeared again. I figured, I'm not going on. And I stopped a piece from it, about 200 or 300 yards. And I'm not going near that damn thing. What if it appears over top of me? No one will know what the hell happened to me. So then it disappeared and appeared again. So I got enough nerve to go on. I picked up a rock and threw it in there. Picked up 2 rocks and sagebrush. And I took off again. Damn thing appeared. And when this girl went back out, the rock was crushed and the sagebrush was flattened out. I think, well, this thing has body. Maybe I'm not dreaming. Because at that stage, I still thought I was seeing things. And I'm telling you, I might have been a combat officer and had medals, but I was a little bit scared. I mean, what the hell am I up against here? What is this? Being all by yourself, too. What did I have? A lousy pistol, 45. I figured it's a pea shoot or something like that. So the next time it appeared, I got enough nerve to go and put my hand on it. It was smooth and cold. And there I started to wonder, it's 110 degrees out here. Was the sun hitting? The metal thing can't be cold. My command car, you gotta put your hand on the steering wheel. You don't want to stay out in that sun a little bit. And this thing was cold. Then I'm sitting there wondering if I'm hallucinating, I better go back. And all at once my compass started to spin. And the instrument went crazy. So I gunned the command car in reverse. Took off in reverse. The motor died. And this thing started, it wasn't vibrating, it started to shake some. And all at once, it went up like this, turned on its side, and zoomed. And by the way, there were 2 colors up here, a blue and an orange. And the way I described it, like this, a balloon. Take a balloon, and when you blow up, enlarge that, and a balloon behind it, half a balloon. The thing went in sideways this way, and went in that balloon part, and it seemed like the opening. But it went in there, and I saw 2 colors, and then I was standing there like a dummy, and I was looking at the blue sky. There was nothing there. It just disappeared.
What was the approximate size and what was the shape of the craft?
I say it was, for my observation, it was tilted a little bit on the ground. I'd say but maybe 30 feet.
And the configuration, the shape, what would that be?
It was just like a saucer, like 2 pie pans on top of each other. No dome or anything. At least I didn't see any dome or any bottom.
And when it turned on its side, it didn't tilt like this. It
No, it turned on the side.
Any sound associated with it?
Was it?
Any sound?
No sound at all. Nothing. Quiet.
So the 30 feet was like a diameter?
Diameter.
How about the height?
It was just like 2 pie pans. Now, the end, when I was laying on the side, I could reach up and touch the end of the saucer when I put my hand on it.
How much of the saucer was above you when you touched it?
It was laying something like this.
Was the top of it approximately your head
I
height?
could see the top. It was above my head, the other end of it.
Did you have the feeling at any time that you could have got inside?
No, no. Never entered my mind. In fact, what was in my mind, get the hell out of here.
When it did take off, how close were you to it at that time?
Oh, my car had stalled. I'd say 200 yards maybe.
A couple hundred yards?
Yeah, because I gunned the command car in reverse. And it was the command car, I didn't get closer about 50 feet to it, and I walked up. I gunned my command car in reverse, backwards. And then the engine stalled. Maybe electromagnetism might have affected the engine, I don't know. But anyway, it stalled. I thought maybe it was me hitting the gas and the gear shift wrong and stalled it. I stalled it. Maybe the thing stalled it, I don't know. And then this disappeared. But I'm not. And I made up my mind. I had orders on my desk for combat battalion, which I've wanted all my life. I'm not going to jeopardize this by trying to tell them anything. They won't believe me anyway. They tell me to shut up. That's right. So I told them, explain to me what I saw. So they both went through an explanation. The second one, the older fellow, he said, you had tremendous experience. He said, that more likely was a time machine was malfunctioning, and they had to correct it. And then he told me that what he thought the propulsion system was because of the way my equipment acted. He said it's a magnetic type propulsion system. He said your instruments went wild. Yeah, just before it took off. He said they were trying to adjust their time sequence. So and the Germans, they didn't say that was good. They thought that was one of Wilbur Smith said, you have experienced one of the great events that happened in the world. I told him, well, I didn't think it was any great event. He said, well, you did. And that's what Wilbur Smith told me. When I was Inspector General of the 7th Army, Trudeau came to Germany. And Heidelberg sent for me to meet him at the airplane. He wanted to meet me. And I met him at the airplane. He was over there on some sort of inspection tour, Lieutenant General, and they threw out the red carpet. He came with his wife. And the first time he'd seen me in uniform for years, they didn't recognize me. When they recognized me, he stopped the reception line, came over, and his wife came over, and I stood there. So he said, Phil, I might be taking over R&D. You're coming with me. And I told him, naturally, I'd like to. And he said, well, I'll send for you when I go back. Later, when he wasn't chief R&D then. So I came back, and they made me air defense advisor to the Maryland National Guards, senior air defense. That was the first time that the National Guard had somebody with experience. I made them pass that NORAD and their other inspections. And I was defending the Washington area. So then a letter came from the Chief Army Personnel asking for my assignment to the Pentagon. So the Adjutant General of the State, old record, called me. Major General, he was the Adjutant General of the State of Maryland. He said, Colonel, he said, I got an order here, your assignment. See, he had to release me. Once there's a job like that, they can't just pull you. The Pentagon just can't pull you. You're subject to the whims of the State Adjutant General. So he said, I told him, well, this sounds like General Trudeau, my old boss. He wants me back, he's an R&D. So General Record was pretty nice. He was an old fellow, he was over 80. And he told me, he said, I won't stand in your way. Call the general and tell him I'll release you tomorrow. I walked in Trudeau's office, saluted him. He looked up, he said, you aboard, Phil? I said, yes, sir. He said, only instructions he ever gave me, he said, watch things for me, Phil. The rest of them don't understand. And that was the only orders he ever gave me. Watch things for him. The rest don't understand. I ended up with 9 clearances. They're both top secret.
Did you have discussions, though, as you were doling out this material?
All the time.
You ever discussed the implications of what it was?
I went in Trudeau's office one day, there's 2 men there. And he said, we can talk freely with these 2 men, Phil. They were from North American Rockwell. And this thing here, 2 men came in from North American Rockwell, and they were given this. Now,
They know where it came from?
It came in from my files.
Yeah, but did the Rockwell people, were they told where
We
it
didn't
came
tell
from?
We let them, Bell Labs, we let them think, they thought that the chips we stole from the Russians, we let them think that. What the hell, that was all right. Let them think it, just so they have it and do some work. They did a good job.
Was there a potential problem if you gave them potentially advanced material,
Well,
told them it's Soviet, that they would say, oops, the Soviets are way ahead of us?
then we would watch it. A lot of times it was my job to go to see how it was coming. I'd go to the companies, North American, TRW, Westinghouse, GE, who we had listed as number one crooked. We had listed contractors reliable and how crooked they were. They never knew we had this. Or the military organization in the early 50s was CIC answer operationally to the G2. They didn't operate on their own. When they got that G full at Roswell, the CIC man that disappeared, he had to hand that to G2, his operational chief. G2 would pass it to the Pentagon, to G2 in the Pentagon. Our intelligence had no R&D function. So they would pass it to R&D. In those days, R&D was under logistics. Power logistics, secondary mission. No one cared about it. Logistics was logistics. It wasn't R&D. Yet it was assigned to R&D. It was assigned to them. In 1959, Trudeau changed it all over. Took all R&D, put under one head. Fort Monmouth and all those places. The universities, the laboratories, and put them under one head, one chief. And all this stuff was inherited. And when he created for me the Foreign Technology Division, he created that to give us a focal point where all foreign developments would come into. They'd all come into me. I not only mean space, but I'm talking about the depleted uranium, helicopter arming, anti-aircraft stuff from South Africa, the toll from France. Those all would come into me. And also anything like the flying saucer stuff would come into me.
Other than that first batch, was there more?
No, I never got anything more in that first batch.
Were there reports in the files from when they had originally been looked at?
Somebody had done something with them because there's reports in there.
Do you remember which labs had written the reports?
Well, the labs weren't ours in those days. And I remember what Paula Reed told me and Lincoln Lab told me. He said, do you remember your instructions were always not to keep any copies, to send everything back? And they had to, that's why they couldn't find anything at Lincoln. They said, your orders were to give everything back. And those were our instructions. What this would cause, all weapons would be obsolete.
Did you ever have a guess about where they were from?
Well, we tried to, but we never came up with any definite where they were from.
It's a time machine.
Anywhere, yes.
Could be us. That's the worst possibility. That's the worst one.
Did you ever feel like you had to brief somebody else in the political center of potential danger, or did you just carefully try to prepare?
No, I would never brief. Oh, I did talk about this very thoroughly with John McCormick because we were pretty close friends. After Kennedy died, and he was number two.
I don't think Jacques has heard the story about the Russian base. What happened to that Russian base, and I'm curious about how the information came to you.
CIA and the intercepts. You know, we had a system that was watching, could localize all atomic detonations. And that was part of it. And the other was a CIA report. Somewhere in my papers, I have a copy of the CIA report. And that happens. And there was 200 scientists killed. So they were lying to you. There were two ways. I say CIA got the report and the atomic monitoring that we had worldwide.
And did the report contain an explanation about what caused the explosion?
No one knew. But there was UFO activity in the area before that.
So in the files that you had, there was a report on an autopsy?
Yeah. See, the Walter Reed Laboratory was ours. We financed it. It belonged to R&D. It was our laboratory. It wasn't belonged to Walter Reed. We financed the thing.
Yeah, still does.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there.
Were there photos with this report?
No. Oh, I had one photo, but it was pretty messed up. You couldn't tell much from it.
Of an alien body?
It was pretty messed up.
Did they preserve any samples? They must have preserved tissue samples,
I really don't know.
genetic
I
material.
don't think, maybe the Air Force did. I don't think the Army ever did. I never saw a report on any preservation of anything like that. Maybe they did, but I never saw any.
Okay, well, what was reported in the autopsies?
Well, the thing that interested me was the lymph gland parts and digestive system, which didn't exist. And the brain lobe was number one interest in this movie, by the way. When they open up the brain, they show the lobe if you look close enough. And the sex organs were all, they called it anthropoid,
No, atrophy?
lack of use.
Right.
Yeah, atrophy.
Atrophy.
Is that the way you put ANTHROPIE?
ATROPHIE.
Yeah.
Atrophy.
They were lack of use. The sex organs were almost non-existent. So these are the things that really interested me. That's where I saw that glove, with the suction cups on.
That was a glove.
Yeah, it was a glove. That was no fingers. They only had 4 fingers on. And now that was unusual. I don't know. No thumb. I don't know how they used it then. But they disappeared. Naturally, nothing could be said because these things didn't exist as far as the government was concerned.
Right.
There was no talk about what happened. Couldn't say the UFO was gone or bonds were gone because national policy was that they didn't exist. How can you talk? How can something be burned up in an explosion and fire when it didn't exist? Same way we played the game. We played the same game. R&D, we played a game. Nobody can investigate because we can investigate something that doesn't exist. To put out an order, cover all it. What the hell are they going to put out an order to cover? They don't know what the hell to cover. I don't think there ever was any cover-up. I couldn't trace one. I never knew one. I had all the clearances. I was in the spook business. Our operation, we had good reason not to put out. Not only that, did we put it out, but we didn't have any PR function.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to put it out. It wasn't our job to put things like this out. And we didn't want to do it anyway. We didn't cover it up. We wanted to give it to industry and American people, but it couldn't be done with the climate of opinion and the way things were. With the political situation and all the debunkers and all the skeptics. This UFO problem has never been handled right. Never have. There hasn't been a real intelligent study on UFOs that bring in all the factors. If you would tell me right now, set up a plan to cover up the UFO thing, what the hell would I write? How would I approach it? And what would I say to cover up? Wilbur Smith said, don't answer any questions because you don't have the answers. So what are they going to cover?
Okay, well then
There never has been a study made of it.
for our going forward, then it would actually be nice to know that there isn't some dedicated group of people who do not want to get information out. So if that's the case, then it ought to be possible for us to come up with a plan to help get information out, or channel information out, or channel out technological.
Let's say that there's a group like this in here in my day,
Okay.
and you came up to us. You wouldn't have gotten anything. We weren't talking to protect ourselves. Not because of you or because of him or because of him. But the thing was, we don't even talk about it. We go ahead and do our job because we got to cover our tracks if we want to operate 100%. So we can't let anybody know or talk about this thing.
The following is an interview with Philip J. Corso, recorded in 1996 in Florida.
You say you also had reports on bodies, on alien bodies?
Yeah, that came from Walter Reed.
Were they pretty? I mean, they definitely said not that these were genetic humans or
No,
something.
here's what the report. The thing that I was mostly interested in the report was the two lobes in the brain. There are two lobes there.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie showed part of that. They didn't know what they had, though.
Right.
There was two lobes in the brain, and interconnected. And also, the lid. That's where I got the information on the extra eyelid. And we figured that extra eyelid was nothing more than something like our night viewing device. Filtered light.
Mm-hmm.
Did the actual autopsies get done at Walter Reed?
They did this particular autopsy, the paper that I had.
Physically at Walter Reed?
I don't know if it done physically there or not. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, but the report came out of Walter Reed.
The report came out at our laboratory. We financed that laboratory. There was a crash at the plane to St. Augustine.
At the same time as Roswell,
Yeah.
or later? Or?
Later. No, about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the fiber optics came from there. And there was that one little crash there had an opening, and there was bodies there too.
Mm-hmm.
St. Augustine was gobbled up in a hurry. Later, something mysterious happened. It disappeared. But anyway, that's another
I
story.
mean, all the material disappeared?
The saucer itself. But anyway, that's.
Oh, no, let me add.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, did you have
Well,
one?
they come and take it back, or was it traded back?
There was
Or?
supposed to be a fire and explosion, but since it didn't exist, nobody could talk about it. One of our greatest covers, I say, was the policy that says that UFOs didn't exist. If ever it didn't exist, there was no crash. If there was no crash, there was no material. Nobody could investigate us because there was no such thing.
Right.
And we played that up. We moved that ahead.
But
the more the debunkers screamed, the more better we liked it. They're doing the disinformation for us.